Chris, you told me that you ran earlier as well, right? So, what was the toughest moment during that loss? Like, what did that losing taught you that winning could never? And what did you change this time because of that?
You don't have to stress about things that you don't have control over. You can only control what you do. And so for me, I look at things in a different way than the average candidate. I have a small business. I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and those sort of things, you learn how to deal with pressure in different ways. So the big thing I've taken away from the first campaign is I can only control what I can control. And there's other people in these races, there's other variables that I cannot control, but I can control my teams, I can control my ability to knock on doors and organize, mobilize, and then you leave it up to the universe.
So, since we are talking about the finances, you have also taken stand on rejecting money from groups like the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. So, what led you to take that position? Was it like politically risky for you? Have you faced any backlash because of this?
The fact that that organization supported elected officials who would not confirm the 2020 election. You cannot have it both ways where you can go, oh, we support freedom and all this blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you're supporting candidates who literally were throwing a coup, overthrowing the government, overthrowing a legitimate election. So that organization was doing that. Not only that, they're promoting these I don't even know what the term would be. What the Israeli government has been doing um, is completely unacceptable. It is inappropriate. There's an illegal war happening right now in Iran, and Israel's involved. Lebanon, they're attacking Lebanon. We all know what's been happening in Gaza. It is a genocide. People will attack you. They'll email you. They'll say, oh, stop talking about AIPAC. Just talk about Trump, but don't talk about AIPAC. If somebody tells me not to talk about something, I'm going to talk about it even more. I'll be even louder. Nobody tells me what I can and cannot say.
Talking about the specifics of your campaign, you are pushing for free public college, and critics are saying it's unrealistic. So, what is your response to that? Like, how do you fund it realistically? What do you say to taxpayers who disagree on this point?
It's unrealistic to spend billions of dollars bombing places like Iran when America is trillions of dollars in debt. That's completely unrealistic. And it's actually, well, it's criminal. And if you don't have $10 and no, let's say if you whatever you can't spend what you don't have. So the people who may go, oh, free public college, oh, I paid my way. That's great if somebody paid their way and they, paid their student loans. I'm not saying, I get that, but there's no reason why America cannot have public colleges, free education. If we're able to spend and allocate money, especially for the military industrial complex. Donald Trump said the other day, we don't have money for childcare. And by the way, he shouldn't be anywhere near a childcare center at all. And so if you have money for that, but you can't have money for childcare, you can't have money for education, you can't have money for free public college, you don't have money for free public transit, these things can grow so much that generations will be thriving.
Most people talk about changing the system. Very few actually step in to change it. Welcome to Young Indian in Politics, where we bring in our conversations with leaders who are not just participating in politics but actively reshaping it. Today, we are joined by Chris Ahuja, a candidate from United States Congress whose campaign has been gaining attention for its clear focus on economic fairness, reducing corporate influence, and standing up for working people. In this conversation, we'll go beyond the headlines to understand the ideas, conviction, and vision driving his campaign. Chris, it's great to have you with us today. Before we get into politics talk, let's take one moment into your life that made you feel I need to step into public leadership. What exactly happened at that moment? How did you change your thinking overnight?
And I'm honored to have this conversation with you. especially in India. Um, my father is from India. He's Punjab. So being Indian is a big part of my life. Sometimes a lot of people don't know that I'm Indian, but I am. And it's a big part of who I am. So thank you. And for me, getting getting called to public service essentially started in 2020. And so my youngest daughter, Artemis, she had gotten RSV, respiratory virus, at 6 weeks old when she was born. And so that experience was very traumatic. She's healthy, she's fine. She's eating dinner right now as well, a little late today. Um, and I have another daughter, Athena, who's older than Artemis. And so that experience was very traumatic. And of course, it puts things in perspective for me. And my day job, I own a talent agency where I represent actors for TV shows, for commercials, for advertisements. And that is good work to do. But at the end of the day, that experience and COVID happened right after we left the hospital. So we were being very cautious. And when you see a child, a baby, an infant on oxygen, it puts things in perspective for me. And I asked myself, well, what can I do? How can I use my voice for for good, for positive change to help? And that was during COVID. Donald Trump was the president as well back then. And that led me to local organizations in my community and volunteering, grassroots, whether it's the environment, whether it is city issues, state issues, and I never turned back. That's what drew me initially, that personal experience where there was so much chaos, and then you have elected officials trying to do good to help their community, keep people safe from getting sick, of course. But that's what led me to local issues, to community, and then you find out what you're passionate about, and then you keep following those passions, which is here why we're here today. And I ran in 2024 in Congress for the 32nd district, and then we never stopped.
That's really insightful to know. So it's clearly, I can see that you have a background outside the politics. So what was
Mhm.
that one trigger where you decided that now I'm running for Congress? So was there a specific event, or did anyone try to stop you or discourage you or something like that?
Mm. Actually, a good friend of mine, his name is Ankur Patel, who also happens to be Indian. Um, he mentioned to me about the congressional race, and that's did anybody stop me? That's an interesting question. Technically, yes. Even this time around, in 2024, it was only a 6.5 week campaign. And so nobody's nobody really said anything to stop me. My campaign manager, well, sorry, not my campaign manager. My campaign manager is Julia Wathi, who is wonderful, who I met in the 24 cycle. And then my strategist, chief strategist, is my cousin, who's also half Indian like me, um, who's an expert in political science. And Julia is also an expert in communications, worked on different campaigns like Obama campaign and other things. So ironically, my main strategist, broke it down to me that you can't do a whole lot in 6 weeks. And but this is how you do it. This is how you run a campaign. This is how you build it. And maybe you set yourself up for 2026. And so ironically, your question, did anyone say not to? Well, for this cycle, there was different people who have said things that were pretty negative. There's been people who told me to drop out of the race. There's been, threatening messages, um, intimidation, but that doesn't that doesn't if I have things like that, that just makes me more passionate about speaking the truth. And so more of those things, not so much anything else. I have a supportive family, and at the end of the day, we are trying to give people a voice. There's so many people in the 32nd district that don't have a voice. They don't know who the representative is. And then when they find out this is happening, this is happening, this is happening, they go, "Oh, I know about that." So it all comes back to taking care of your community. And we are grassroots, and so you do have challenges, but it was, excuse me, it's important to build a strong team, have smart people around you. I'm not experts in every field. I'm not. Um, so yeah, it's a good question.
Sure. As you said that your personal life experiences also shaped your part in the campaign. So can we talk about one policy which directly comes from that experience into your campaign?
Yeah, um, I think there's a few things. I do really care about immigration. My father is an immigrant from India. My wife is a refugee from Vietnam. And so I never really thought too much about ICE because it wasn't so prevalent and, destroying communities in America. And then also just a personal standpoint, I've never personally experienced a lot of racism at all. And when I started to get social media traction, especially on X, maybe maybe a year and a half ago on X on Twitter, um, people were pretty racist, and I didn't get it, but they said, what kind of foreign name is Ahuja? And I was like, oh, okay. And I actually would respond to some of these people, and they were saying these comments like that are just completely racist. And ICE needs to be abolished. We have different, I am a Democrat, but we have corporate Democrats that are afraid to say abolish ICE. They say reform it. I don't believe we can reform ICE. I think it's beyond any sort of reform. And I think it's probably that way even preceding Donald Trump. So immigration is something that's very important to me. I do believe in allowing people from around the country, or sorry, around the world to come here. And we should make it easy for people, but at the same time, we shouldn't be penalizing people for coming to America for a better place, for their families, for their jobs, for opportunity. And a lot of my friends, a lot like my family, they're the immigrants. So I do really strongly believe in reforming the system and abolishing ICE, and that's something really important to me. It's personal.
Okay. Yeah, sure. That is the thing, right? So, Chris, you told me that you ran earlier as well, right? So, what was the toughest moment during that loss? Like, what did that losing taught you that winning could never? And what did you change this time because of that?
Yeah, so like that, I didn't really know what to expect with, sorry, the light is like so bright here. I didn't know what to expect with that campaign. I really didn't have expectations because it was so quick and so condensed and short and fast. And so everything happened so quickly. And so and then building out infrastructure. So when I was in that space, like pretty much from like mid-December to March 4th, it was so fast. And so afterwards, and then kind of talking with my team and looking at what we did, what we accomplished, we did receive a lot of votes in a really short period of time. And we didn't do fundraising. We, we didn't have a lot of resources. And so afterwards, going, okay, this is how we move forward. These are the strategies that we need to put in place. Using social media as a tool to drive engagement, using social media to reach voters who live in the district, using it as a tool to fundraise, create awareness of what our campaign is about, and being more strategic, more organized, and recruiting more and more people to support what we're doing. And is it too loud? Can you lower your voice just a little? Um, can you hear anything?
No, I
Okay.
cannot.
Okay. But and then managing managing your personal life, your family, your children. Uh, but the main thing I learned is you don't have to stress about things that you don't have control over. You can only control what you do. And so for me, I look at things in a different way than the average candidate. I have a small business. I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and those sort of things, you learn how to deal with pressure in different ways. So the big thing I've taken away from the first campaign is I can only control what I can control. And there's other people in these races, there's other variables that I cannot control, but I can control my teams, I can control my ability to knock on doors and organize, mobilize, and then you leave it up to the universe.
That's true. So if I say that someone from your district meets you for the very first time, so
Mhm.
why should they trust you over an established leader? Like what makes you different beyond the slogans? Or why should they take risk on you?
The main thing is, I think the one of the main things that I've seen, not just necessarily in our particular race, but if you look at candidates across the country in the United States, and people respond to authenticity. Getting to a place of being authentic, being real, being comfortable with who you are. So other people, I hear stories of this person and that person, and when someone is talking, if I'm talking to a voter, and we talk to voters every single day, if we're talking to voters, we're talking constituents, and it's a big area. Like this district covers various types of communities, various types of neighborhoods. It doesn't mean you have to change how you talk to somebody because they live in this neighborhood or this neighborhood. It's just about listening to people and being authentic and telling them what you want to do. And also, one of our volunteers, like, reminded me, it's like 10 toes down. 10 toes down. Owning what you stand for, being specific, being crystal clear. Voters now, they don't want vague answers. They want specificity. And if I say we should abolish ICE, if I say we should no longer fund Benjamin Netanyahu, if I say um, every single person in America should have health care, it should be part of the system. It shouldn't put people in debt. When you talk in a way that's specific and clear and authentic, that's what resonates with voters, regardless of who they are, where they're from, what neighborhood, and owning it. And I can clearly say, I don't agree with what you're saying, but that's okay. This is why I believe this. And that's really how you communicate with people, regardless of if they're voting for you.
That's true. So you have talked about like system working for people, not for the corporations. So what is the biggest example today where you think that system is broken and who do you think benefits from this broken system? And what's one immediate fix you would push for this?
Sorry, what was the question again? There's two questions in there?
I'm trying to say that since you have been promoting that system working for people, not for the corporations, so what is the biggest example today where you think the system is
Mhm.
broken and who is benefiting from this broken system? Like, what's one immediate fix you would push to fix this system?
Well, we have to overturn Citizens United. Citizens United is one of the main enemies, the main system that has failed working people, because corporations are not people, and speech, um, and that's both parties. So Republicans and Democrats benefit from this because of the corporate contributions that they get. And also, when people and candidates say we don't take corporate PAC money, if they still have executives from oil companies or from companies that don't support working people, it it doesn't matter if they say we don't take corporate PAC money. If you still take all this big money from the same people, that's still corporate PAC money. And so you have corporations, especially people like Brad Sherman, they take, and they're proud of it. They're completely proud of it. They don't care at all. They take corporate PAC money from all the different industries. So if you have massive fires like we did a year ago, and you're taking insurance money that is not supporting working people. They've lost their homes. And you are not actually an advocate for people. You're an advocate for those corporations that profit over people. And so that's part of the problem. It's one of the main problems in our politics. We don't have public finance campaigns like other countries do. So corporations, lobby groups that are more concerned about their profits versus the dignity of people. And how do we change that? We change that by holding these groups accountable. They don't have the freedom and shouldn't have the freedom to dictate how we live. The fact that like BlackRock, Wall Street, they're buying out housing and pricing people out of the neighborhoods they've grown up for generations. They can no longer support themselves living in this house that has now, or this apartment complex, because it's too much. And we have to get back to small business. Small businesses are very important. And so we've lost our way. It didn't happen overnight. And this is part of the problem with the contributions that these groups take. And of course, super PACs that can do whatever they want. So if we don't start, it will only get worse and worse and be harder to do it. So that's why we have to have elected officials who are willing to have courage to stand up for these things. And it's tough because money in politics, unfortunately, uh, has so much control over how people vote, how people see things.
Sure. So, since we are talking about the finances, you have also taken stand on rejecting money from groups like the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. So,
Mhm.
what led you to take that position? Was it like politically risky for you? Have you faced any backlash because of this?
That's a really good question. Um, excuse me. Um, the thing is, there's that's one PAC, one organization. There are other organizations, but that one in particular, the fact that that organization supported elected officials who would not confirm the 2020 election. You cannot have it both ways where you can go, oh, we support freedom and all this blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, you're supporting candidates who literally were throwing a coup, overthrowing the government, overthrowing a legitimate election. So that organization was doing that. Not only that, they're promoting these, I don't even know what the term would be, what the Israeli government has been doing. Um, is completely unacceptable. It is inappropriate. There's an illegal war happening right now in Iran, and Israel's involved. Lebanon, they're attacking Lebanon. We all know what's been happening in Gaza. It is a genocide. I believe in experts and scholars and people who are um, well versed in that particular topic. And so, my point being is, yes, when you say things like that, people will attack you. They'll email you. They'll say, "Oh, stop talking about APAC. Just talk about Trump, but don't talk about APAC." If somebody tells me not to talk about something, I'm going to talk about it even more. I'll be even louder. Nobody tells me what I can and cannot say. And so, yeah, we get those, but if somebody's saying that to you, that means there's something there. And we can't allow um, we can't allow people to be afraid to speak up about truth, speak up about justice. That's what America is supposed to be. We have freedom of speech here. That doesn't mean people won't say anything back to you. They will. Um, but in terms of that organization and how you see how much money that they spread on different candidates, and then you see how candidates speak and how they clearly are not um, speaking in an authentic way. We're going back to about being authentic. And then now you see things kind of shifting a little bit. You see certain elected officials saying no, that they're not a good organization. So, and it's not just that. It's other groups too that are doing things that we have to, excuse me, have to hold them accountable to. And so I'm proud of taking that stance. I'm proud of being endorsed by Track APAC. Um, And it comes back to being authentic. And I think we need to get to a place of authenticity in our politics. That's why a lot of people in America are not happy about politics. They're very apathetic. They're angry because they feel that they've been lied to. So that's kind of our focus. It's about people, working people, and creating opportunity.
That's true. So, like, it brings to me to my next question: that can someone realistically win without the big money influence? Like, how are you managing your campaign finances,
Mhm.
etc.?
Well, it's really challenging if you're an underdog. Our average donation is like $28. And we need more of them. We need, more. We need more and more support. And it is challenging. It's very, very challenging. But fortunately, that's part of our strategy, though. These are not new things for our campaign. We were already aware of what we will face. We were already aware of the money in this race. So our strategy is built around not having it. Our strategy is built on not having a lot. And so that's literally part of our strategy. So using the tools that we have and having the support. We have the most support next to the incumbent who's been there for 30 years. And we have a tremendous amount of support. He actually told somebody this. He said, Ahuja, they don't say my first name, he says Ahuja has more support. But they know we haven't raised millions of dollars. And so we have been doing well. We have been doing well with what our plan has been. And it will be interesting to see kind of what the votes are going to be on June 2nd. Nobody has a crystal ball. Of course, when you're going against an incumbent who's been there 30 years, who has millions and millions of dollars, which, by the way, hold on, which, by the way, he doesn't use his campaign money. So what he does, and this week alone, he sent a bunch of mail. And so this is, he has a little thing here. And I don't know if you can see it here. Can you read that? Not too
Yes, I
much. I'll
can
read
see
it.
that. It's not
It
visible
says,
much, but I can see that.
it says paid by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives, printed with soy ink on recycled paper. So what that means is he didn't use any campaign contributions to pay for all the ads that he sent out. So he sends these out, but the truth is he's using our tax dollars to fund his campaign. It's not illegal, but ethically, you have millions and millions of dollars that's sitting there, and it's just it's just a sleazy thing to do. It's a repulsive. That money should not be spent on advertisements. If I was elected, I would never take advantage of the position to enrich my campaign by not actually using campaign donations. So yeah, you're dealing with that, but as an underdog campaign, you have to have strategies that work for your campaign. And so You do need to have money because you need to use, advertising, YouTube, social media. But again, our social media, we have not boosted any of our ads at all because we organically will reach hundreds of thousands of people. Right now, I have a video that's, I don't know what, I haven't checked the past few hours, but it's probably over 200,000 people now. And so that's all organic. So we're fortunate to have a strong team. We know how the systems work. Um, but yeah, it's tough though. It's tough.
So, talking about the specifics of your campaign, you are pushing for free public college, and critics are saying it's unrealistic. So, what is your response to that? Like, how do you fund it realistically? What do you say to taxpayers who disagree on this point?
Hmm. Um, I think people who say it's unrealistic, um, so people who say it's unrealistic are people who may not be paying attention to what's going on. There's a lot of things that are unrealistic that are happening at a massive scale. It's unrealistic to spend billions of dollars bombing places like Iran when America is trillions of dollars in debt. That's completely unrealistic. And it's actually, well, it's criminal. And if you don't have $10 and no, let's say if you whatever you can't spend what you don't have. So the people who may go, oh, free public college, oh, I paid my way, and that's great if somebody paid their way and they paid their student loans. I'm not saying I get that, but there's no reason why America cannot have public colleges, free education. If we're able to spend and allocate money, especially for the military industrial complex. Donald Trump said the other day, we don't have money for childcare. And by the way, he shouldn't be anywhere near a childcare center at all. And so if you have money for that, but you can't have money for childcare, you can't have money for education, you can't have money for free public college, you don't have money for free public transit, these things actually grow so much that generations will be thriving. They'll be thriving. Not only that, for example, if we talk about public transportation, if we take away all the cars that use on the freeways, on the streets, and we have public transit, we're going to help our environment. But in terms of free public education, the return on investment for people, for young people, for kids, for you know young adults to go to college and not have to worry about paying for it. A lot of students, and especially if we're talking about community colleges, they're taking care of their family members. They have two jobs and they're going to community college. There's literally no reason we can afford that. We can, and it won't actually cost them that much. And also, like the return on investment, how much that will change our communities by people having education. We have to do way better in education in America. Like way, way, way better. It is lacking. And so when the values for whether it's MAGA or corporate Democrats who don't believe in it, it goes back to values. What do you value? We value an illegal war that we can spend billions of dollars every day, but we can't pay for someone to go to a public college, a public university, and we can't pay for them, even though they're paying their taxes, they're doing all these things. It comes back to values. So the people who are opposed to that, I don't know what their values are, but I don't agree with that. That's okay. They have their opinion. Someone was arguing to me about childcare and daycare. Um, it goes back to values. There's other countries in the world that have these things. They're hopefully still our allies. We can take things from different countries, case studies, and go, what, we can do this. We can make this work for us here. There's no reason why we can't have that. It's insane. And if people had it differently before and they worked hard and they had their student loans and they pay for them, great, good for them. But in 2026, Things are not working, and now we see it. And it's been growing and growing and growing. People are struggling, and we need our representatives to actually listen to their constituents, actually talk to them. We're probably the only candidate that's actually talking to voters in districts, knocking on doors. We did it today. We do it every weekend. We do it during the week, and we hear what people are saying. People aren't listening. Most people do want this. They really do. And if they don't know why they don't want it, we have to educate them. We have to show them why this makes a difference in people's communities.
True, perfect. So you're also supporting a wealth tax on billionaires. Do you think this is even practical,
Mhm.
or the system will allow this to pass?
I think, and I'm not an expert in tax policy. I am studying business and accounting though, but I do have my small business. Most of these billionaires, they have figured out a way not to pay their fair share. They have many, many, many CPAs. They have many, many, many lawyers. They have experts and they know all the tricks. But working people, they don't have all those things. And when you get down to the amount of tax they're actually paying way more, even though they make way, 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 way less. That's not fair. It's not equitable. How is it that somebody can go to college, they're going to community college, they're going to a public university, they're paying for the public university, they're working two jobs, they're paying their taxes, they barely have anything left to pay their rent, but a billionaire can have all these things. Elon Musk can make $1 trillion. Donald Trump can pay $700 on his tax return and do all sorts of sketchy, shady things. So the system is broken. It's not intended to be that way. Those people have changed it. And of course, they're also contributing and donating to these elected officials to change tax law that helps them beat the system, but hurts regular people. It hurts the 99%. There is no reason why Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, these people can't pay a decent amount, sorry, not a decent amount, the fair and equitable amount of taxes that regular people are paying for. It is completely unfair. And they should not have the right to change the laws that only help them and not working people. They're not paying their fair share. If they actually paid their fair share, all the things that we're talking about, public university, infrastructure, transportation, that's what our tax dollars are supposed to be paying for. That's what they're supposed to be doing, but they're not. And these people, corporate Democrats, MAGA, there's really only a handful from both sides are actually speaking up for working people.
True. You are calling for a ban on congressional stock trading. Why is this necessary? Do you think lawmakers are currently misusing this? And how are you making sure that accountability is there by banning this congressional stock trading?
There has been so many, especially the past 6, 7 weeks, of highly suspicious trades, especially with things that are happening in Iran, all sorts of activity that gets flagged online. There's so many websites that show the stock that elected officials have. It shows their trades. It shows what committees that they're part of, what information that they have that's insider information. So this is a no-brainer. And the problem is these people, and it's a lot. And we can see the MAGA, like these administration, especially with what's been happening with Iran, there has been so many trades and profit being made that only certain people, sorry, I spit out food, they would only know what is happening. So they're profiting off of this. Even if any elected official, they should not be trading stock at all. They have privileged information and they're not looking out for their constituents. They're looking out for themselves, how to make more money. They already have a job. like it pays pretty, it's decent, like it's good. It's not like, the salary for Congress is 100, I think it's $175,000 a year, which that's great. That's you're going to do okay with that. You have good health care, you have all these things, but it's just greed. It's greed. They want to make more and more money instead of focusing on actually doing their job to bring jobs to their district, to make their constituents have a easier life, better health care. How about put some parks in the district? Take cars off, invest in public infrastructure. But no, their focus, and we talk about Brad Sherman. I don't know what his trades are, but just in terms of doing your job, helping your district, making it better. Brad Sherman's only legislated one or two things in 30 years. He named a post office. He named a post office in 30 years. What has he done for our community? What has he done? And so I segue a little bit there, but it still goes back to values. And congressional stock, there should be a ban on stock trades. They should not be allowed to do it at all. If they want to do stock trades, then don't be in Congress. Now, Encore's calling me now. Uh, if you want to do stock trades, then don't be in Congress. Don't be an elected official. Go work for Wall Street. Go do that.
Okay, since we are talking about the war situations as well and all, so on foreign policy, you have like real emphasized on diplomacy over the dominance thing. So do you think that US has overused the military powers, and can diplomacy really replace the military strength? Or also, could you give me one example where diplomacy have failed or succeeded?
So there has been an emphasis, especially with MAGA administration. And I feel like that too, even if we're talking about Gaza, we talk about Palestine, Israel. It seems like there's been an emphasis on hard power, military might, tanks, guns, bombs, versus actual diplomacy, actual negotiation, and and focusing on things that actually will save people's lives. So there's no reason why we can't focus on those things in terms of actually not relying on just destruction. That seems to be the focus, and we're losing so much trust in the world. America is diminishing its stance of working with people, and I mean this is really prevalent with MAGA administration, where they put these things on social media. It's very bravado, it's very masculine, and we're going to show everybody that we're tough and we're strong by killing people, by threatening people. I don't believe in this approach at all. I think we can actually succeed in a way that is peaceful. And of course, we may be talking to people who may not want to negotiate. I'm not discounting that, but at the same time, if the sole focus on American foreign policy is bullying your allies, it is starting unconstitutional legal wars. This is a recipe for disaster. The long-term consequences of this for our kids, for generations across the world, there is zero upside to what is happening. And I think part of it is an unwillingness to put your ego aside. And especially with MAGA, we see this with all these guys, especially their egos is so fragile. They're so insecure that they don't understand that this is the most powerful thing we have. And they're not using this. They think one way, and it doesn't serve America, it doesn't serve the world.
That's true. I have seen that you support criminal justice reform and ending private prisons practice. So, how do you think that balance reform with like balancing the reforms with the public safety, or how do you address fear among the citizens? What safeguards will you keep in place while promoting this?
Sorry, I got distracted for a moment. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes. So I see that you are supporting criminal justice reform and ending the private prisons practice. So how do you balance reform with the public safety? Like how do you address fear among the citizens, or what safeguards are you keeping in place to promote this criminal justice reform?
Yeah, so I think in terms of municipal, we have our local police departments, we have county sheriffs, we have federal, um, and then private prisons, ICE. There's a lot of different things in your question. And so, in terms of the private prisons, especially if we're talking about ICE, the reports, the stories, the statistics of people who are in them, children, women, people who have health issues, the conditions appear to be really bad. People are dying in these private prisons. These people who have been taken by ICE, and those private prisons, going back to what we talked earlier, they have contributed to elected officials' campaigns. They have donated to Donald Trump's campaigns. BlackRock is one of the biggest investors in two groups. And the infrastructure, there's an actual infrastructure, there's money involved in this. And so the private prisons, they're profiting off of people in there. If there's nobody in there, they're not profiting. So for that type of business, it's really important that they put people there. And when you do that, you're going to have people in there who shouldn't be in there. And there's probably a high percentage. They shouldn't be there at all. And so criminal justice reform, private prisons, ICE, it is a business for these people. Again, it goes back to profits over people. They're not going after violent criminals, ICE. They say that, but the statistics show the complete opposite. It was like 75% that were nonviolent criminals or nonviolent people. And I think it's even higher now. So if 15% of the people taken by ICE are violent criminals, there's a large percentage of people in there that are not, that are just working people. Maybe their paperwork wasn't complete on time. Maybe there's so many stories. There's one story where the woman passed her immigration, her ceremony, and she was told to go to the office to do her ceremony for her citizenship. And it was a setup. They wanted to take her. And she's been in a private prison since August of last year. So there has to be accountability, there has to be oversight. We have to call it out. We have to speak up about it, but very few people are, especially elected officials. In criminal justice, in terms of um, like local issues, municipal, if we talk about the police departments, this is more city, but if you talk about their budgets, like LAPD budget is, I think, like close to $5 billion. It's the largest budget in the city. And a lot of people complain that nothing's being done. Things may be vandalized, their business, but nothing is done. And so, if more money is being put here, but it's not being put in education, it's not put in infrastructure, again, it goes back to values. And people, for example, if you've come out of a prison system, you should be able to vote. You've done your time, and that's part of that's I don't believe in that. I think everyone deserves an opportunity, and if people are going through job training, they're going through education, they're being a better person. they shouldn't be penalized for their entire life. They should be able to get back into society, contribute to society, and prison, unfortunately, yeah, you don't want to see anybody go to prison, but if someone has committed crimes, but profit is an incentive for these places as well. And so you want to make sure, like the death penalty, there's a really good book, I forget what it's called, but there's a lot of people on the death penalty that actually were innocent. They weren't guilty. And there's corruption and evidence that has been falsified. So that's an important issue. And there's experts in this field who really advocate for reform in the criminal justice system, which I support.
So, you have also spoken about the US-India relations as a strategic partnership. So, what do you mean in real terms about the strategic partnership? Like, which sectors should both countries focus on, or where do you see the disagreements among it?
Yeah, I put that on their website. Um, India's been a democracy for a long time, and I think, I mean, I'm not an expert in Indian politics. I'll say that right now, but I think we have to make it easier um, for Indians to come to America. I think the tech space is really important, and the areas that India specializes in. We have to make immigration um, easy for our allies to come here and to open it up for opportunity. And I want to see our country grow. I want to see people come here to have a better life. I have a lot of Indian friends. My father's an immigrant, like his father who came here. He was in science and engineering. And so I think we need to continually build that relationship. And it's a trick. I've talked to different groups, and you see, you know, different philosophies on things, especially I think in Indian politics. Sometimes different demographics of Indians, maybe older Indians, younger Indians, um, and but we still have to really work with India. We want to continue to build a strong relationship, strong opportunity, trade, um, immigration here. And if people want to continue to stay here after their visa has expired, if they're coming here for work, um, we have to keep building opportunity. America is based on immigration, and we have a strong Indian population in different parts of America. I'm biased because I am Indian, so that's something that I value, and and not only that, but um, being respectful. There still is racist stereotypes that people make different things. Sometimes people don't realize that they may be saying something to me. I'm like, hey, I'm actually Indian. That's offensive. So I always want to yeah, help India and really just continue to build that in terms of we have semiconductors, we have auto, we have a lot of opportunities, a lot of different areas that India specializes in. And at the same time, what Donald Trump has done with tariffs and intimidation with different countries, in India including, no, we can't treat India that way. We have to be respectful and continue to work together to. There's no reason to have constant chaos. It's ridiculous, especially with our allies. And Donald Trump, he doesn't care about India. He doesn't care.
That's really insightful of you, Chris. So now we'll move on to the ending of our last session. That is a rapid fire segment. So I'll ask you
Okay.
quick questions and you can answer them in one line. So the first question is one policy you would implement in your first 100 days.
Um, I would draft articles of impeachment for Donald Trump. I would start that right away, immediately.
Okay.
And yeah, okay, one. Okay.
One thing you strongly disagree with your own party on.
We have to abolish ICE. They don't seem to want to abolish ICE. Brad Sherman, who I'm challenging, he said he would abolish Trump's ICE. Wrong answer. We have to abolish ICE. We don't need ICE. We're going to, yeah, abolishing ICE.
Okay. Biggest problem in American politics today.
Money,
Fair enough. One leader you admire globally.
globally. I admire the Spanish, I think, is he the king who has been resisting Donald Trump and MAGA. I think they closed airspace, um, preventing military going to Iran.
That's fine. Okay. One decision you would reverse immediately if elected.
Um, say it again, one decision.
Yes. One decision you would reverse immediately if elected.
Well, in Congress, well, I would need, a coalition of support. But I would, well, for here in the 32nd district, I would spearhead the Sepulveda Transit Corridor project. I would not delay it any longer. That is heavy rail that would transfer up to 100,000 constituents to go to their jobs, education, go to leisure activities. I would spearhead that immediately. Brad Sherman has delayed that for, I think, like 20 years.
If you win, what does success look like to you after 5 years?
If I was elected,
If you win, yes.
uh, congressional terms are every 2 years. So success after 5 years, if I was elected a couple of terms and some months, would it would be abolishing ICE. That would be incredible. If that happened, that would make me really happy. Abolishing ICE, seeing the Sepulveda Transit Corridor project being implemented, building heavy rail, whether it's above the freeways or it's a subway, high tech, incredibly efficient, changing people's lives, no longer being stuck in traffic for hours and hours to drive 10 miles, 6 kilometers, whatever it is. That would be incredible if it wouldn't happen right away, but to see it being built and being done, um, and seeing constituents feel inspired and having opportunities for their children. And yeah, like you mentioned, public university. If we're able to create legislation that is going to spearhead that, that's going to start it quickly, which I don't see why that couldn't start quickly. Those things would be really important, and that would, yeah, that would make me cry a little bit.
So, last question. What message would you give to the young people globally who want to enter the politics but feel the system is too closed?
Every country is different, every city is different, little rules, even in America. But globally, if somebody wants to do it and they're really passionate and they know why they want to do it, they know what is calling them to go into public service, I would say do it. I would say do it 100%. Don't be scared because your family is not in politics. Don't be scared because your family is not millionaires that can fund your campaign. Do it and get involved. Find your tribe, find your group of people. And that can be challenging to find the right people, but listen to your heart, listen to what it's telling you, and find courses online. Find programs that, if you're not sure how it works, there's so many colleges, universities around the world that have online classes. Do that. And don't worry if people judge you and say, "Oh, that's dumb," or "That doesn't mean anything." You will, if you're being called to it, you're gonna go no matter what. And the main thing is listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. If you have negative people around you who are saying you can't do this, go back to why you want to be in public service. Public service is the key words. Government, public service, but listen to yourself. Listen to yourself, have faith in yourself, have trust in yourself, and just trust it. Just trust it. There's a I took a Harvard Kennedy School credential program. I didn't get a degree from it, but for me, I learned a lot from it. And I learned certain things that touched on policy, on ethics, on decision making, on data, on statistics, and find what works for you and then go for it. Like really do it, really commit to it. Don't be yeah, sorry, I shouldn't say don't be scared. If you're scared, it's okay to be scared. If you're scared, own it. Go, okay, I'm a little intimidated, but fucking do it. Don't just do it. Don't listen to other people. Just trust your instincts. If I listen to people say, "Oh, you shouldn't do this," or if someone says, "Hey, you're not going to run, I'm going to run," or if someone says, "You should drop out," if I listened to everybody and took it in, yeah, I would be scared. But take those things with a grain of salt, but don't take no for an answer. Don't let someone else dictate what you do in your life. You listen to yourself, be unapologetic about it, and I'll show you something. Simple things. Oh, you can't see. Okay, it's hard to read this here. Can you read
Yes,
this?
I can see, yes, yes, yes. I can see it.
Focus on winning, focus on gaining support, one voter at a time. That's that's campaign strategy. It's like three things. Focus on gaining support. And if you want to get into government, you want to get public service, there are going to be people who are not going to be authentic. You be authentic and own it, and don't be intimidated by anybody.
Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. That was such an insightful session. Thank you so much for giving us a deeper look into not just your campaign, but the ideas and the convictions driving it. Conversations like this are exactly what help young people understand and step into the public leadership. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. It's Manada, right?
It's Manyata.
Oh, I can see. I
The
appreciate you guys.
pronunciation goes like Manyata.
Manita. Thank you so much. And yeah, send me the recording when you guys have it. And I really appreciate the opportunity. And I was messaging my friend who is also Indian, and he would be a great person to interview as well. I'll email you. But really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for reaching out. You guys are awesome. It's always cool to meet people on social media around the world. So this is my first interview with India. So I'm honored, and it's really cool. I like doing these things, and there's a time difference, so it's 10 p.m. here. Um, so you have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much. Really appreciate it. This was awesome.
Yes, hoping to stay connected. Sure.
Absolutely.